I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. Just start talking a little bit about technology. This is going to be first of 12 series, and we're going to be meeting every month talking about different stuff. I am a partner with Microsoft. Group Oliver is an MSP, meaning we do manage other people's computer networks and whatnot. We specialize in both voice and data. Most people would say, yeah, you guys do computers, networks, and phones. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about why we are here today and get off the cheap shill here for the shameless plug. Everybody's here today, I'm assuming, because you want to learn a little bit more about the cloud, talk a little bit about technology and some of the things that help set us all apart. Obviously, one of the things that makes people different in using technology is they tend to be more of an early adapter. They tend to be more aware of what's going on in the marketplace. And it shows up not only that from a mentality standpoint, but it shows up in the bottom line as well. As a rule, people that are early adopters tend to be 15 percentage points ahead of their competitors when it comes to profitability. They also tend to have faster job growth. The revenues are better as well. Just something to bear in mind. If that isn't necessarily something you want to be, that's fine too. Today's topic, what is the cloud? Put simply, it's other people's computers. Most of the time it is a mix of computers, but quite frankly, at the end of the day, you're using somebody else's computer. So let's start talking a little bit more about that, some of the pros and cons, and we'll go from there. I am frequently told by people, don't want to use the cloud. I'm afraid to use the cloud. There's all kinds of problems with the cloud. At some level, boys and girls, we don't have a choice. We're going to use the cloud whether or not we want to or not. Some of the stuff that people use with the cloud every day, and they do it very willingly and almost from a frightening standpoint, are things like your Facebook account. That's cloud. Most of us also have some sort of LinkedIn account. We use that for marketing and business. Anybody here that has a website, it's probably in the cloud. I doubt if most organizations that do not host their own stuff just because it costs too much. Other examples we've got up here. I don't want to kill anybody and just start doing death by reading PowerPoint, but I'm sure we can all come up with lots of other examples as well. Anyway, there's a lot of people that are afraid to use the cloud, and some for very good reason and some for not so great reasons. Quite frankly, most people don't use the cloud, or they're not comfortable with using the cloud just because they don't understand it. That's what we're here to talk about today. And quite frankly, if you don't understand it, you probably don't want to use it. You need to understand what you're getting into and what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. One thing that we do want to talk a little bit about, and forgive me because I am going to read, we've got 4 key business products in the cloud. Those 4 things are basically, you got cloud servers, you've got hosted phones or VoIP or VoIP, and then you've got hosted applications, then you got managed services. Cloud servers are basically things that are servers that are in the cloud that people are able to share and use with others. Office 365 has cloud servers. The Exchange component of it, where everybody uses the email, that's a cloud server. Hosted phone services. Most of us here are familiar with, or at least have heard of, things like RingCentral. That is a voice over IP phone solution. There's lots of other options out there as well. A lot of people get concerned about that, and they're like, oh, I want to have my own phone system. Quite frankly, you go back 20, 30 years, nobody had their own phone system unless you were a huge company, and people use like the old Centric system. So the concept and the mentality isn't that new, just some of the technology is different. Hosted applications are another example. Salesforce is a good example of that. And then lastly, there's managed services. That's a cloud-based business where you have the ability to help people remotely 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and maintain things while, you're frankly home in bed sleeping or doing better things with your time. Anyway, let's continue on. This is not a technical session here, but let's just throw out some of the acronyms and some of the things we've seen. Most of the time, why are you going with cloud servers? Because it's an economic decision. Talking a little bit about our business here. Group Oliver 10 years ago, we probably did a few servers, if not every week, it was every month. Today, I couldn't tell you the last time that we've done a server. I take that back. We probably do 1 or 2 a month now, but we're bigger than what we were. And at this stage in the game, most of the stuff is up in the cloud. There are good reasons to have things local, but it just has become a much more compelling story to do things in the cloud rather than local or have on-prem. So anyway, today, a lot of businesses are coming up with their own mix of whether or not they've got something that is, an on-premise or a cloud-based solution. Good example of that would be either, Google Docs is something that a lot of people use. Office 365 is another example. You can also use, I think I brought up a minute ago, where you had RingCentral. All these are tools that are available today to small to medium-sized businesses that not too awful long ago, you had to be a very large organization to actually enjoy that, or you had to be willing to spend a lot of money. Also, one of the things that happens frequently with the cloud-based solution is it gives you the ability to rent to own. The advantage of that is you don't have a huge capital expense. Also, as you grow and expand or you change offices, it's very easy to do. It's all about your speed and the ability to be flexible. Let's talk a little bit more about that as we're moving forward. We've spoken a little bit about hosted phones or VoIP or VoIP phones. Some of the benefits of having a hosted phone system is, you can spin up and spin down as quickly as you want. You also tend to have a lot more features than a lot of the on-premise systems that were available just as recently as 3 or 4 years ago. In addition to that, what we're finding with some people is they're able to get a new phone system, have the service along with the support, and in essence is the same as what they were paying for their lines every month. In essence, it's all about what fits. Frequently you'll hear people talk about CapEx. What they're referring to is capital expenditure. By getting into a lot of the cloud-based solutions, there is very little capital expenditure other than the initial startup and setup fees, which quite frankly you have that with almost any system that you do, regardless of whether or not it's an on-premise system or a cloud-based solution. The other part about having a lot of the cloud-based solutions is the flexibility that it affords most businesses, as well, quite frankly, the employees and the entrepreneur or the owner. A lot of our friends over in the commercial real estate industry aren't all that thrilled about this today. Used to be, hey, if you needed 10 people in your company, you had to have 10 desks. You had to have room for 10 desks, and there had to be room for everybody in there. Today, I can have 10 people in my office. I can have 5 of them in my office, 5 of them at home, or 5 of them on the road. It is not unusual today to have more and more stuff virtual, which quite frankly is what cloud does for you. And this includes everything. Things like Skype for Business allow you to have the face-to-face communication with people just like they're in the office. You can have your phone set up so that when the phone rings and somebody wants an extension, it dials to that particular device that is at that person's home or sitting next to them while they're in the car. The other part about that as well, when it comes to your files and your data, with a cloud-based solution, everything is secure and available everywhere you put it. Misspoke there a little bit about secure. Not all systems are created equal. but we'll get into that here a little bit later. Circling back a little bit, we talked a little bit about cloud-based applications. Don't want to read to you. The other one that a lot of people are familiar with is Salesforce. They do that as well. Google Docs is in there as well. A lot of it just turns into, what is it worth to you to have the proper security along with the training and support. Having some of the cloud-based applications also means that for the most part, you have everything is current all at the same time. It also makes things a little bit easier as well from an employee standpoint when you have everybody on the same version. We'll admit it's gotten a little bit easier where we've got things that are backwards and forwards compatible, but there still are issues, and those issues also tend to be with the more complicated files or solutions. And inevitably, those are the important ones because that's what we're trying to use to present either to our customers or our investors. And, who needs to be messing with that at the last minute when it's an, oh, shoot, we got to get this right. We got version problems. And, anyway, obviously, having everybody on the same version takes care of most of those issues. One thing that a lot of people are always concerned about, they hear, well, gee, things are in the cloud. What happens if the cloud's not available? Quite frankly, what happens when we don't have internet? Depending on the type of solution and what it is that you're doing, there's many ways of solving that. What most people are able to do is you sync those data with your various devices. So you've got it available with you, both with your laptop, your computer, your handheld device, or cell phone. And obviously the other component of that is, well, gee, how am I able to, work together with everybody all at the same time when we got everything cross-platform? So I was talking about just a little while ago when I was talking about Skype for Business. It allows you to connect across various lines. And it also is something that you don't have to worry about, gee, this guy's got an Android, or this guy's got a PC, or this guy's got an Apple. It's very much agnostic as far as what the platform is. One thing that I also am always very curious and interested to hear about people is they talk about, well, gee, what about the security? What about my backup? Today, backup is such an important part of your business, but quite frankly, it ought to be more about what the restore is. With the speed and velocity of which business is today, nobody can afford to be down for weeks or even days for that matter. So with a cloud-based solution, what it allows people to do is you've got your data in a central dispersed location that is available from almost anywhere. So as an example, the building falls down where your current office is. You kind of shrug your shoulders, you go home, you fire up your laptop when you get home, you connect, all your data is still there and is readily available and usable. In today's world where there are no borders, things are so small, people are moving so fast, the unfortunate truth about this, customers don't care that you're in Los Angeles and you just had an earthquake. They're in Des Moines, Iowa, or they're in New York, or they're in London, and their attitude's like, gee, it's really bad being you. I guess I can wait a couple of minutes, but we need to make this happen. With this type of solution, you're still able to do that. The other thing that ought to make people very nervous, and this is one of my personal pet peeves, is when I read the newspaper about, so-and-so had a laptop they left in their backseat of their car and somebody smashed the window and stole it, and along with it they got 50,000 credit card numbers and social securities and, everything else. What are you doing, boys and girls? It's so easy to make sure the thing is taken care of securely between encrypted drives, Azure, which is baked into Office 365. Druva is another example where you can reach out and take care of it. The other thing that, as a lot of employers are worried about is, hey, I've got an employee that has all, the keys to my kingdom. What if they quit? or what if they walk off the job, or what if. With the tools like this, you also are able to manage all of that. And I use the term reach out and wipe someone, where in essence what you're able to do is reach that device, wipe all the information off it, and whether or not it just happens to be a rogue employee or a device that gets stolen, or heaven forbid, you've got to let somebody go and they're moving on, anyway, it is something that does need to be taken care of, and you do have to plan for it. Kind of touched on this a minute ago. You get your critical apps up and running and you've got everything all lined up. That's what it's all about. And lastly, there's managed services. As the world is getting more complicated or simple for the end user, it's actually making things a bigger and bigger challenge for the people on the back end that make everything all operate seamlessly across the different platforms, so that everybody just pushes a button and it just works. Along with that, what ends up happening is the days of having the guy is getting really challenging. So as a consequence, in an industry that's been growing now for the last 10 years or so, that is called managed services. What that is it tends to be companies that manage other companies' technical infrastructure. And because you can't know everything about everything, they tend to have a group of people that have a mix of skills so that you can get the right guy in for the right job. The advantage of that with a small business is, you can't have 10 people on staff because you just can't afford it. You can have a company and pay them a fee, and they're able to maintain all of your systems for you, and you've got a mix of technical skills and abilities that make it a little bit easier. Again, back to the reoccurring theme, you got the right tool or the right man for the job. Anyway, don't run away. There is going to be one more quiz before this is over, and I'm calling it a quiz. Let's call it a survey. In the meantime, this is my second shameless plug. I told you I was going to start with one and end with one. Group Oliver does sell many of the services and the things that we discussed today. If you would like to have some sort of audit or even have a sanity check about what it is you're doing or considering doing, very much entertain and enjoy the opportunity to ask you about that or speak with you about that. So please don't hesitate to call or ask.